Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun Bun. This is our reaction and review to From Season 3, Episode 1. Friends, Romans, Fromville, lend me your cows. We have made it to this long-awaited premiere, and what a premiere it was.
It was incredible. This was absolutely worth the wait. I mean, this is one of our favorite shows on TV, one of our favorite shows to talk about
Yeah.
here on YouTube. So we couldn't be more excited that it was back. And man, it was so worth the wait, except, oh, Kenny's mom. No. Do we think she's gone? Do you think she can be saved? We're gonna get into that.
This
It's not looking good, guys.
This is okay. This is just sort of the basic ground rule for all things From. Bad things are going to happen.
Yes,
People are going to go, and
absolutely.
they're probably going to go in the worst way imaginable.
That's the thing that makes this show as compelling as it is and as exciting as it is. This show is fearless. This show will take away big, huge characters. Nobody is safe on this show, including Boyd, which is so crazy to even think about. But like, there are very few shows out there that will take really big swings and put their biggest characters in the biggest danger like this, where you're actually sitting back being like, could we lose Boyd? Yeah, we could. They would do that on the show. Please don't do that, but you would do that.
If you guys take Perrineau away
Oh
from
my
us,
God, no.
we ride at dawn. We're going to wait until the night is over so that we don't get off in the middle of the night. But at dawn,
We be riding those cows.
we're going to be whatever cows are left after everything. We will be riding them.
We'll be riding that one cow together. We're coming.
So we don't have a lot of options here anymore, guys. Things are going very, very badly. But okay, we have so much to get into. If you can't tell already, we're pretty geeked up to get fully into this. But be sure to hit that subscribe button because we are going to be here talking all about From, theorizing all about. We've got so much coverage coming about From every single week, all season long.
And we're also going to be covering Daryl Dixon, season 2. That's going to be coming up in Grotesquerie over on FX. So we have a lot of other horror shows here for you to check out. So hit that subscribe button and also follow us over on our Patreon for just $5 a month. You're able to help support Matt and I to continue to bring you more videos here at the channel. And you also get to vote in polls that help determine different shows that we might be covering here or we might be covering exclusively on our Patreon. And right now we are covering the Penguin over on our Patreon exclusively. Is the only place that you can get our Penguin coverage. So thank you so much to all our Patreons for helping support us. We appreciate it. Okay. Let's start with how we got here with Kenny's mom and Boyd in the barn in huge trouble, like trouble that they really can't get out of. And it's all due to the food shortage that's going on. The soil is poisoned. All the crops, they're not growing. They are not sure if they have enough time to get more food together. People are panicking. They've taken all the reserves. People want to take the animals. And eventually Boyd has the tough conversation to kind of be like, okay, we've got these cows, we've got some goats. If we use them for food, how long does that get us to be able to regrow crops somewhere else in a bunch of different places? Let's try a bunch of different soils, as Kenny's mom said. Can we make this work? Yeah, we can. So what happens middle of the night? The monsters are like, no. We're not having that. Let's just let everybody go. And they did. And it turned into this huge chaos where we had people running out in the streets trying to wrangle the cows. They've lost a cow, trying to get the goats back, all the sheep. Everybody's everywhere. And we end up in this situation where they finally get one of the cows, Boyd and Kenny's mom, into the barn. And who's in there? Just a huge group of monsters. So is she gone? Can she be saved? Tinfoil hats.
Yeah.
Guys, let's pour one out for Kenny's mom. I do not think that she is going to be making it through here. Like I said, the show is fearless. They will take anybody off this show. And the real of it is this type of situation that they are in with so many monsters in that barn. No one's really going to be able to stop this from happening at this point. They still don't know how to kill these monsters.
Yeah.
They've only been able to figure out how to get rid of Smiley that one time because they had the worm blood, and that's just seemingly kind of gone now. The bile didn't work. They have no other real options here. So even if, let's say, Jade or whoever is still out there trying to wrangle animals, there's no way to go in and actually help. We saw Kenny's mom have strips of her head being pulled apart. The monsters very specifically said, "Oh, you think we can't break you, boy? You think we can't break you? We're going to break you, and here we go." So they've got him handcuffed to this pole. They are tearing strips off of Kenny's mom. This show, for me, as much as I love her, they need to take her to be able to continue Boyd's story where I think it's going. I think Boyd will survive this because the monsters will let him, because the point is not to kill Boyd. The point is to break him and then leave him broken in the town, because he is the beacon of hope. And if the beacon of hope is broken, the town will be broken.
Here's the thing with these monsters is that they may just seem like monsters, but they have some sort of method to their madness, if you will. Because if they didn't have any sort of method to it, you could have easily argued, and I even thought this for a second while I was watching the episode. It's like, why didn't you guys just let all the animals out like in season 2? You could have ended this a lot faster, but the reality
They're
is
escalating it.
yeah, this is not about we're just going to end all of this as fast as possible.
No.
This is about we're going to make things as bad as possible over a long period of time. So whenever you think you get a win, you're going to be following that up with like 3 losses, 4 losses, something even more dramatic. And that's just all why, I think we are losing Kenny's mom. Like, am I sitting here being like, is she 100% gone when, Perrineau is cooking with that like final monologue talking about you're so strong at the end of this? I don't think that she's gone necessarily at that point, but by the time that somebody's able to show up or somebody's able to have some sort of solution, there's just not going to be any hope for her anymore. And I mean, you already spelled this part of it out, but they're clearly out to break Boyd. They clearly want to make him as miserable as possible, and that's a big part of why he's going to survive this. While I agree with you that they will take out anybody, I don't think they're taking out Harold at this point. It's
Not at this
much too early for him. So I think this is just a situation where one way or another, he's going to find a way out of this, whether the monsters let him, whether he finds a way to escape, all of that sort of stuff. He's going to survive, but I don't know what that means for the rest of the town here, because we still don't really know what happened to a lot of the animals. I mean, we saw that one scene with the cow that was just, I'm not good watching bad things happen with animals on screen. That freaked me out.
Yeah, the thing about this situation that Boyd is in, I just only see one way out of it. There are too many monsters in there, and there's no way to kill the monsters. So with so many of them, he's handcuffed, and on top of that, there's monsters holding him. I just don't see how he's able to escape. They are going to have to let him go. And there is a bigger purpose to it for the monsters. We've seen before where Kelly and Brian, if you remember them from the bar, we had her pinned to a tree with, a rod through her head to have to watch what happened to Brian all night. It's not just about killing the people of this town. It is about breaking the people in this town. And if you're going to take the time to break Boyd by breaking apart Kenny's mom, then what's the purpose for the monsters then to just kill him? Like, if the point is to just kill him, then they would just, kill him. But they want to break him. Him being like, you can't break me, at that point it's a challenge for them to be like, oh really, okay, yeah, we can. Not only are we taking away all the food, we're gonna make you watch this, and then we're gonna send you back broken into the town to break everybody else. As far as what are they gonna do now with the no food, Are people on the menu? I feel like they're gonna have to be. Like it's gonna be really tough, but I mean Kenny's mom is probably dead. What like how else do they survive?
Well, this is another part of it that
I hate that I had to say that,
I
guys, but that's what it feels like. People are on the menu.
it's yeah, I think a Yellow Jackets situation here is not out of the realm of possibility. I think it's also just worth noting that Kitty's mom was very important to the diner. Like
Yes.
that was a big part of the community. And it's one thing to have food, but it's another thing to know how to be good at preparing food economically. If you
Mhm.
don't have people who know what they're doing in there, you end up wasting a lot of food. And then that ends up being a problem in its own right, especially when you don't have a lot of resources in the first place. So this is just like out of everyone that the monsters could have taken out in this situation, like this is one of the worst people to go.
Listen, this is gonna be a weird segue, but I just finished watching Outlast season
Oh
2
boy.
on Netflix.
Oh no.
And what you're saying
Yeah.
is exactly right. There was
Yeah.
like two groups. I'm not spoiling the show really here or anything like that, but there were two groups of survivors that, of course, needed to outlast each other. One of them was kind of getting by, and the other had a chef on their team
Yeah.
who was able to, like, identify mushrooms that you can eat, was able to actually make salt, which I had never seen before, and was actually able to process salt to make sure that everybody was able to get salt in their diet from the forest and the water. It was crazy. And it was the thing that made them thrive. And it was the first time that I'd ever really seen that. I am not an outdoor camper girly by any means, but I love survivalist type shows, as you guys do as well. We're all watching From, right? But like, it is so important to have somebody on the team,
Mhm.
Kenny's mom, who's able to prepare food in a way that you're able to use everything. You're able to make it last. You're able to prepare things that you might not think would go together, but they're able to go together to be able to produce more food with what you have.
Here's a quick rundown of everything terrible that is now happening in this community. So Kenny's mom probably gone. Boyd, really bad shape, probably survives, but probably not in the best headspace, I would say, after all of this.
Yeah, you would say?
Yeah, I would say.
Man, if Kenny's I do not want Kenny's mom to go, but if Kenny's mom gets out of this alive, I still don't think she's going to last very long
No,
after this.
I think it would just be a quick way to just have something bad happen at the start of the next episode.
Right.
But you also have huge amount of discord in the community now based on what's going on with the
Yes.
animals. Everybody's in constant disagreement with everyone. Fatima's pregnant, and so like that's a great
Jade's off the rails.
what a shock. Jade okay,
He's the new Christopher.
Jade, I both understand Jade, but at the same time I'm also like with Jade every single episode. How do you think this is helping Jade? Like, how do you think your bad attitude is actually going to make anybody in a better situation?
I think he thinks he's helping, and I think he probably is to some degree. He just doesn't know how yet.
Yeah.
I'm a Jade defender.
Uh-huh.
I really like Jade. I think that this town has changed him in a pretty significant way. When everybody first came to this town, everybody's who's there was there going through some sort of transition in their lives. Huge changes have happened to every single person right before they saw the tree and they ended
Mhm.
up here. This is a transitional town that they are all in. And I think for Jade, having just sold his company and it's like his life is about to change, and then he saw the tree and now he's here. I think this was so important for him to change who he is, because he wasn't that nice when he showed up.
No.
And now he's trying to help.
Okay, I will say that. He is trying in his own way. He just has to figure out how to make his own way a little bit nicer and more agreeable. It's like Sarah. I like to say that I'm a Sarah defender.
I am not a Sarah
I
defender.
would like to say that I'm a Sarah defender. I can't get there because she is off numerous people in the town.
Yeah.
But I think that she has a part of her head that wants to do the right thing in certain
Yes.
situations. And I think that part of her exists. It's just, can she actually get to a point where she's fully there and understands, okay, this is my purpose and can do this without having any sort of visions that the community is going to get better if she kills people. It's a very difficult thing to do.
Okay, let's talk about Jim.
Okay. Oh, Jim.
My least favorite character on the show. So Tabitha is gone, and we are, of course, going to get into where she is and what's going on. But she very specifically was like, you need to stay here, because if you don't stay here, Jim, these two children have no parents. Don't leave them. So we have this premiere where Jim's like, I'm going to leave them. I was like, oh my goodness. Julie has told you before that she was so scared that she was going to end up having to raise Ethan by herself, still basically a child herself. What is she, 16, 17? And she's going to be, in such a difficult position. It's so irresponsible what Jim is doing. And I understand that he's like, oh, I should have never let her go. Yeah, you shouldn't have, but you have to live with that regret now. You're a parent. You are a parent. They're going to have no parents, and you're going to leave them in this town with monsters. Like, how could you? I'm glad that he eventually got to the point that he was like, you know what? Maybe this wasn't the best idea. And I'm just like, Jim, he just hurts my brain so much.
Okay,
Jim
is the guy who, something breaks in the house, something breaks on the car. He immediately starts fixing it without actually knowing how to fix it, and before you know it, the car is on fire. It's like he's
the River Cartwright of the show.
He is
for those of you watching Slow Horses.
Yeah, which you all should be.
Yeah, he just jumps into action with no real plan.
Yeah, he's going to get killed. I feel pretty strongly that Jim is going to get...
He's not dead.
Well, that's the thing. He probably should be already, but he's going to go at some point this season. If I'm going to make some sort of bold prediction, it's something really terrible is going to happen with him, mostly just because there's a lot of characters that are going on that have stories right now in Fromville. I think at a certain point, they're going to remove certain stories. And I'm sort of sitting here and being like, okay, who could they remove that would up the stakes and up the ante for other people? If Jim is gone and, we don't know what's going to happen with Tabitha. Yeah, that forces Julie to have to look after Ethan. And that puts her through so much more. The town is losing, a pretty strong guy who could be capable of doing a lot of things for them. It's just one of those moves that sort of resets a lot of different things. It creates so many other challenges.
Yeah, I mean, if Jim is going to go, it's not going to be with him and Kenny in this cabin that they're in, because we all saw the trailer and we've seen on Twitter that they're pushing who is the phone call? Who is calling Jim? And we haven't seen that yet on the show.
No.
But let's talk about that quickly. Who is calling Jim? And here's the thing. After seeing this preview or this premiere where we saw the monsters are trying to break Boyd.
Yeah.
And I think then that they're trying to make Boyd break the town. They really want to break Jim. I mean, they have tried to drop a house on him, like his wife is gone. Like, they're really trying to break Jim. I think that phone call, if it's not Tabitha, I really think this phone call is going to be Thomas. They have talked about Thomas so much on this show, and Thomas... pretty much what happened with Thomas broke their marriage apart. Like, they were unable to stay together. They were about to get divorced. This was their last hurrah trip for the family. And then they were going to come back and tell the kids, but they ended up in Fromville, transitional part of their life again. That I think he's going to pick up the phone and he's going to hear a baby crying, and it's going to be Thomas, and it's going to be heartbreaking, and it is going to break Jim.
I think that would break pretty much anybody.
It's going to break me to watch if that's where they go with it. It's really dark, but listen, this show is really dark.
Yeah, this show is about devastating its characters and in turn devastating us as viewers. I don't think we can rule out that it's Thomas. Okay, this is about to get really, really crazy. Like, okay. What if your Thomas theory is correct, but Thomas is an adult, and it is somehow an adult Thomas who is speaking to them, who is actually running this whole community? Okay, listen to me.
Oh my God, you didn't put on a tinfoil hat for that? Okay. That is just so good.
Here's the craziest thing. We have seen something like this before on other shows where it's like, oh, here's this dead character, or here's this child who just magically shows back up as an adult later with no real explanation. Here's ultimately where I think it is that I think whoever's on the phone is the same person that was speaking to them on the radio at the end of season 1. I mean, could that be this really, really crazy tinfoil hat thing of it's adult Thomas? Maybe, but it's also like, is that person who was on the radio running, if you believe it's an experiment, is that running the experiment? Is this God, if you believe this is some sort of like purgatory state? I think there's obviously a million different sort of theories and explanations you can throw out there, but I think that those two people are one and the same, just because if somebody is speaking to the community, there can't be that many people that are speaking to them, right? It's got to be kind of a limited list.
Okay, let's talk about children,
Okay.
because you brought up children, because there's really only a few children that we are seeing on this show. Ethan is the only child. Like, Fatima's baby isn't born yet, but Ethan is it. There are no other children on this show.
Yeah.
And then you've got Victor, who when he was a child was seeing the boy in white. And then as he grew up, he wasn't seeing the boy in white. The only other person that had seen the boy in white until Tabitha was Ethan, the only other kid in town, right? We have these other children, the Angui children, we'll call them, that are also wearing white, and they've been trying to kind of communicate with Tabitha, which is how Tabitha ends up where she is now in Maine. And we know that Jade has also seen those children. What if, since we have all our tinfoil hats on, what if the boy in white was originally part of that group of those children? They're all wearing white. And those children were experimented on, or whatever happened. They grew up to be the monsters. And that's why we're seeing these kids. And the boy in white was the one child that was able to get away, and he wasn't able to help the rest of the kids, but now he's out there trying to help whoever he can actually help. But one of the reasons he's really only been able to communicate with other kids is because he's a kid. I mean, we saw him sort of for the first time really with Tabitha at the lighthouse, communicating with her, being like, yo, I'm really sorry I have to do this, but this is the only way. But before that, it was really only when it was other kids. So that's my theory.
Okay.
With the boy in white, I think he was one of the Angui kids.
I think there is a good chance of that, and
that those kids are now the monsters.
My larger theory, I don't think it necessarily negates any of that. I think this is just that
all theories are right. Listen, we none of us have any answers. So if you have any theories, drop them in the comments. Nothing is wrong at this point because we don't have any answers. So all theories are valid. Let's go, Matt. It
can't be weirder than adult Thomas is running the community.
Everything's possible. This is Fromville.
All right, here's where I am, and this is kind of with the larger picture of the show as well. Through a lot of season 2, I was actually very much in the Pocket Universe camp. And I'm not saying I'm like fully jumping ship on that, but where I've kind of landed now over the course of time is I think there's a little bit of irony. And, you have this talk about children and how, the boy in white is clearly very, very important. I think it would be very interesting if the person who is most right about what is going on is the only child who is in the community, Ethan, who is saying that this is a quest. I think it's broader than just a quest, though. I think this show is kind of toying around a lot with the idea of destiny and fate and the way certain events happen, because it's clearly a predestined plan with some of the monsters in a way, where everything is sort of a chain reaction. There's certain events that are happening because of certain circumstances. This is not just like completely madcap, everybody's just going at one point. It's even with them releasing the animals in this episode. So I think these people who are in the town have all been sort of destined to do something really, really great. And this, being in this town, is the quest, the seeing whether or not they can actually get there. And the boy in white, in that way, to me, represents a completion to that quest in a way. Like, he is in white. White is an expression of hope for the most part, unless you're like reading Robert Frost, who has some very weird interpretations of white. That's I had an English major. I have to use it for something in this world. No, but
Let's go.
I really think the boy in white is meant to be a representative of hope in a lot of ways, and him apologizing to Tabitha in the way in which he does, it's very mixed because in finding a way out, in a way, Tabitha has completed her quest. Like, Tabitha has moved on to the next part of it, but she's not moving on in the way in which she wants, because she wants, her family there.
Mhm.
But maybe her predestiny, in a way, is to actually be there to help get everybody else in the community out. And this is what she was actually destined to do the entire time. And that's why she was able to escape when she was. But now she, of course, has to find a way to actually help everybody else. But the thing about quests is they're always going to be as difficult as humanly possible. And sometimes only the few or the lucky are able to complete it. It's sort of like you're fighting this boss in a video game and you think you're going to have all these ways to beat it because it works in every other boss in the game, but for some reason you're casting all this magic and it doesn't work, and there's only one way to beat this boss, and you don't really know what it is when you're encountering them. And all these people in Fromville, they're encountering that right now.
Are you playing Elden Ring right now? Where you
Listen,
can't beat any boss.
I'm not playing Elden Ring right now, but I did just get through the hardest thing ever in FF7 Rebirth, where I had to configure my materia in a very specific way. It took me 8 days, everyone. Bonds of friendship, the bonds of friendship test in that game is basically the equivalent of living in Fromville.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just saying that right now. But no, that's where I'm kind of landing with everything at this point.
Listen, it's not a coincidence that Ethan is the only child in Fromville.
Yeah.
It's not. There's a reason for that. And there's a reason that only other children have really been able to see the boy in white. The children, I feel like, are all the key and the answers to a lot of what is going on here. Let's talk about Tabitha, because for a while after that finale, I was like, is she out? Is she actually back in the real world, or is she in the next level of this game where she's in a city of Fromville and she can't get out of that, but there's just so many more people there and nobody really knows what's going on because it's a functioning city. But now that we've seen the premiere, I feel like she's just out. She was able to call her mom.
Yeah, unless this is
but she also saw the boy in white there, so I don't know.
Okay,
what do you guys think?
I think she's out. I think the boy in white was there. Maybe this is because the boy in white, I don't know, did actually get out on some measure, and maybe it's just she's hallucinating somebody who looks like the boy in white. All that part of it is complicated. I do think she's out. I think, she, like you said, she called her mom. It seems like this is a real place, by the way, in Maine. I looked that part of it up because I was curious. So I think she's made it to the real world, but I think the irony is that the real world in some ways remains her personal Fromville because she doesn't have the people she loves there with her.
Okay, so it was really exciting for me when she saw Victor's address at the bottom of the lunchbox, because for me, I wasn't expecting to see Victor's father there. I was expecting to see Victor's mother there. Now, before everybody gets in the comments and is like, listen, Victor found his mother's body by the faraway tree. Yes, he did. And that is truth. However, my theory has long been that Victor did see a body at the tree and it looked like his mom, but I think his mom actually made it through. And what I think happens in Fromville, and this is just a theory, is that I think that when you pass through and you actually get to go through, the lighthouse, there's a body that's left behind to stop the people from Fromville from looking for you. Because if Victor never found that body, he'd be looking for his mom forever. He would never have stopped. But they need him to stop because they need him to lose hope and they need him to just stay put and stop looking for answers. And how do you do that? You give them a body. And we've seen, the monsters, we've seen inside the monsters that they're human, but no blood. There's something that's off. And this place it has produced all kinds of weird stuff. It can easily produce a body that's going to make you think that Victor's mom is dead, but really she made it through. I was actually really surprised that it was Victor's dad and not mom.
I was really surprised it was Victor's dad. I mean, it was really interesting to see him and sort of see his reaction, because he seemed like he was very stunned, but also frustrated at first to see someone there. It seemed as though he has been visited by a number of people
Yes.
over time, and I don't think this is as simple as just like somebody who's going door to door selling insurance. It feels like there's a bigger problem that he has been going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, people have definitely been coming to his place. And I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Like,
Yeah.
if, he had this wife, Victor's
Mhm.
mom, and Victor, and the sister, and all of them are gone at some point, I feel like people are going to come sniffing around, cops, people investigating. What happened to your whole family, dude? Like, what is going on? I mean, Victor and his mom and sister have been gone for decades. I
Yeah.
mean, he was there. I think me and Victor are about the same age. I think he's probably about 50, kind of looking at where he was in the 70s and how old he was and all that. How old his dad looks. His
Mhm.
dad looks about the same age as my mom, like maybe 71, 72, something like that. So his family's been missing a very long time. And if that's the case, then I'm sure people have been investigating him to be like, where's your family, guy?
Yeah. It's
Bruh.
it's true. It's true. He's probably just really frustrated and really just torn up inside because he doesn't have all the answers, and now here comes somebody who seems to have something, and I think it's a glimmer of hope for him, but he doesn't quite believe it. I mean, all of this though does bring me to one of the biggest questions that I admittedly have not really figured out, and that is, why is it that Tabitha ended up arriving in the same place that Victor left? Because we've
Mm.
known for a while that, these people came to Fromville from everywhere. Like, it was not just a place in Maine. Is this because it is, the throw at Destiny again? It is her destiny to interact with Victor's family, and that this is supposed to be the next stepping stone to her future. But at the same time, that feels kind of hopeful, and I don't know if Fromville is going to do anything to make somebody feel hopeful.
The thing about this show is you have the monsters that are out there trying to break you and take away your hope. We had Abby talking last season also about hope and how the
Yeah.
town is using hope against them in some sort of ways. But the thing that I think this show does really well to make it not as bleak as it could be, because it definitely is pretty grim.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, this premiere was pretty grim. They do still have these moments of hope and beauty. It's where, Fatima comes in and Ellis comes in, and their relationship and the pregnancy and
Yeah.
wedding, and just her attitude towards things, where it's like, oh, if you don't look down at the monsters and you look up, all you see is beauty. It's that you can see beauty anywhere you are, kind of thing. I think it's a really nice balance for the show, which makes this show as good as it is. It's
Yeah.
not just like, we're here to give you a dark, grim story. We're here to give you everything, and that's why it's as rich as it is.
I just think we can all feel really good coming out of this premiere, that the show is still every bit as good as it once was. It hasn't lost its fastball entering season 3. It's still terrifying,
Yep.
compelling. It's one of the most underrated shows on TV. I mean, Harold has called it a word of mouth show, and it is. That's
Tell
why.
your friends.
Yes, we want more of it. I know there are people who are very impatient and want answers immediately. As long as you give me a little bit and you still give us stuff to talk about, I'm fine with them taking their time. We don't have enough shows that go on for a long period of time anymore. Everybody's just rushing to end things. I don't want to rush this.
Yeah, people are ending their shows quite quickly. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are like, give us some answers. We need some answers. I am here for the slow ride. I do not mind, as long as we eventually get to some answers. So, take me on a slow ride. That's fine. Take as long as you want. You want to take 6 seasons? You want to have a ride for 8 seasons? I am here for your ride, Fromville. Let's
Yes,
go.
you guys have shown us that you're willing to tell really compelling stories along
Yes,
the way. That's
yes.
what matters first and foremost.
Yeah.
But that's what we got on the season 3 premiere here. And be sure to hit that subscribe button, because we have so much other From content all season long. We love discussing theories
Yeah.
and ideas with all of you. And if you do want to support us further, join our Patreon. That link is in the description below. For just $5 a month, you can vote in polls that help determine what we're covering exclusively over there. And we are covering exclusively right now on Patreon, The Penguin. Thank you guys so much for your support.
Thank you.
We'll see you here next time.